This is the White Coat Investor Podcast, Milestones to Millionaire, celebrating stories of success along the journey to financial freedom. Here is your host, Dr. Jim Dolly.
This is Milestones to Millionaire podcast number 49. Doc pays off loans and reaches a $250,000 net worth. StudentLoanAdvice.com is a white coat investor company created to help doctors, dentists, and other high earners tackle and defeat their student debt. Letting a professional guide you through the best options to manage your loans will save you hours of research and stress. It may potentially save you hundreds to thousands of dollars with your custom student loan plan. Book a consult with Andrew Paulson, the lead student loan consultant and co-founder of StudentLoanAdvice.com today. All right, let's get our guest on the line who's accomplished not one, but two milestones that we need to celebrate with him. All right, Jason, welcome to the White Coat Investor Podcast, or rather the Milestones to Millionaire podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Dr. Dolly. It's an honor to be here with you.
So tell us what your specialty is and how far you are out of training.
I'm an emergency medicine physician, and I finished training about a year and a half ago now.
A year and a half. Wow. This is pretty cool because we're celebrating not just one, but two milestones. Tell us about your milestones.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I paid off all of my student loans last month, and I've also hit a individual net worth of greater than $250,000.
That's pretty awesome. So we got to go back a little bit, though. I mean, it's only been a year and a half. You're an emergency doc. I know what emergency docs make, right? And you don't make enough to have paid off all your student loans if you had anywhere near the average amount of student loans and come up with $250,000 in additional net worth. So where were you at when you came out of residency? What was your net worth then?
Coming out of residency, my net worth was about negative 85 to 90,000 at that point.
Okay, so how much did you have in student loans?
Total was about 120 grand.
Okay, so that's pretty good. Is that because you were really good at being frugal during med school? You got a little help paying for it, or you paid a bunch off moonlighting in residency, or how did you have your loans be so low?
A combination of factors. So went to a state school for medical school, so much cheaper than average, which is most important probably. And then I was able to get a few scholarships during medical school that helped out a ton. And I was able to go to a state school for undergrad, so I didn't have any student loan debt from there, from the scholarship money on that end as well.
Okay. But even so, it sounds like you had at least some investments coming out of training, right? You must have had, what, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 or something in investments?
Exactly.
How'd you do that?
Probably just got lucky during a good market because I was maxing out my Roth IRA, trying to develop good habits of just investing consistently. And yeah, it worked out.
So that was all you did during your residency, was you maxed out a Roth IRA?
I put probably a few $100s into cryptocurrency at that point as well, which also paid off pretty well.
Did you pick like the right one and it blew up from a few $100s to 100,000, or
nothing crazy
just a
like
small
that?
Portion?
Yeah, just a small portion.
Still, it was a good year for crypto.
It was.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this is pretty cool. So you got a $250,000 net worth. What's it divided up into at this point?
About 75% of it is in index funds. So huge fan of VTSAX and then VTIX, about an 85 to 15% split there. I've got about 5% in bonds. And then I've got about 10% in cash between emergency fund, and then just started saving up for a house with my new wife, and then about 10% in crypto.
Okay. Wow. So, your career hasn't been that long so far, but what's been your average range of income throughout your career?
Yeah. So the average, well, this is my only full year working, and it's going to be about 420. So
okay.
Happy with that.
So that's an emergency doc that's working pretty hard. How many shifts a month are you working?
Probably 16 to 17, because I work full-time in the community, but then I pick up 1 or 2 shifts a month at the academic site where I trained, just because I really enjoy the education aspect of it.
Okay. And they're 8s or 12s?
The academic shifts are all 8s. My community shifts are a combination of 8s through 12s.
Okay. All right. So you're working pretty hard. And it sounds like you're living like a resident. You put a lot of money toward building wealth, paying off debt, and and investments in the last year. What percentage of your income do you think went toward building wealth?
Let's see. Probably, I mean, at least 50 percent, maybe 60.
And probably 20 to 25% of it went to taxes or so. So what's your lifestyle been like the last year and a half?
So I think you said the magic words, right? Is live like a resident. And I gave myself a pretty significant raise from residency salary. And I mean, I've still been able to do a lot of incredible things this past year. So I recently got married a few months ago. We went to Hawaii
Congratulations.
for the honeymoon. Thank you. And was able to go to Puerto Rico for a bachelor party. So I mean, I've been doing things, but it's still, we're very lucky in terms of if you pay yourself first, invest first, and you'll realize, hey, I have a lot of money to do what I want with.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty fun. The bachelor party in the Caribbean and then Hawaii for the wedding. That's a cool combination. But you demonstrate a lot of things there. One, if you just have a plan and pay yourself first, like you mentioned, you can do all kinds of cool stuff on a physician income. And the key is just not to grow into it all at once. And you really knocked this out of the park. You paid off those loans really quickly. Were you ever tempted to, you know what, I'm going to hold on to the loans and I'm going to invest the money into Bitcoin or VTSAX and try to beat the spread? Was
Oh,
that ever a temptation to you, or do you just say, I'm sick of these loans, I want them out of my life?
a combination of both of those feelings. Yeah, so I definitely had well, if I refinance and get it down to 1 to 2%, and then I just pay it off over X amount of years, and I invest that money instead. In the meantime, then yeah, mathematically it probably makes sense, but I hate debt, and that was kind of the big priority to me as well. You never know what could happen in the future, but if I get rid of this debt, I know that that'll be a big accomplishment. I'll be very happy about that, and that's what I did.
Hmm. So, what advice do you have for somebody that's coming out of med school? They've got some student loans. They're trying to decide if they've got to, put some money into Roth IRA, pay off their loans, whatever. Starting to think about becoming financially literate. What advice do you have for that person if they're looking at you going, "That's what I want to do. I want to be out of debt a year and a half out of training, and be building wealth like crazy." What advice do you have for them?
My advice is find mentors and learn from others who've done it extremely well beforehand. So read The White Coat Investor, right? That was probably one of the first books I read in terms of finances that taught me, hey, I don't know anything about this stuff, so I need to learn more about it. So that was a great option. Reading the Physician Philosopher's book on Physician's Guide to Financial Freedom, listening to podcasts like The Financial Residency, of course, like Good Investor. There's a ton of great high quality resources out there from other physicians saying, hey, we get it. We also want to make sure that you don't make these terrible mistakes with your money and, get paid well and use that money wisely. So here are some basic steps. It's a lot easier than medicine, though.
Yeah, it turns out it is. It's certainly easier than working all those shifts that you've worked in the last year and a half. So, thanks for doing that. By the way, it's been a tough time for you to come out of training and be thrown into the pandemic as an attending. It's been a wild place in the emergency department for the last couple of years. Not only at the beginning, just when we all wondered if our jobs were going away because the volumes dropped 40%, but also lately when most of us are busier than we've ever been and really getting hammered at work. So thanks for doing that, for what you do, and for sharing your story with the listeners here. I mean, this has been a pretty impressive year and a half that you've had with your finances. Where do you see yourself going forward? I mean, at what point do you stop living like a resident and go on even more trips than just Puerto Rico and Hawaii?
So I think that just sort of a graduated adjustment. I think that's my biggest thing is no massive mistakes financially. So the next goal is in a little less than 2 years to have enough money saved up to buy a house, and then after that, I think I'll have a bunch more expenses. Probably be trying to have kids by then. That'll add up quickly, I'm sure as well. But the plan is just to keep investing aggressively now, especially when at the beginning of the career I have so much more time for this money to work for me with compound interest, and that's the plan.
Hmm. What's your spouse think of all this? watching you go crazy paying off debt in the last year while, getting ready for marriage and all that.
So she's happy for me, and it's funny to see how she doesn't have anywhere near as much interest in it as I do. From like, oh, look at this cool thing that I did, and check out how if we project it this way and look at this rate of compound interest, what it could do. And she's like, yeah, whatever. I trust you. You got it.
Yeah, for sure. Doing it together is very helpful, but it's almost every companionship of any kind that one person is more interested than the other. So the key is just keeping them in the loop and and working together on your goals. You don't necessarily have to be on the same page, but you both need to be reading from the same book. Now, you mentioned mentors. Who have your mentors been on your journey to success here?
So I'm very lucky in the sense that my brother and I were both first generation college graduates, but he's also an emergency medicine physician. So he was able to give me some pretty applicable financial advice saying, hey, watch out for these things. Don't do these things, pretty helpful.
Save your money. Don't buy whole life. The usual, huh?
Exactly. And then my residency program itself, McGovern Medical School, formerly known as UT Houston, we always had some great speakers there. Some of our faculty, like Jonathan Rogg, who actually won a White Coat Investor Financial Educator Award, as well as Ryan Hubinger. They've been instrumental as well in saying, hey guys, here's basic, finances 101, personal finance. Don't make these terrible mistakes. It's going to be okay.
Cool. Well, congratulations to you. You've reached 2 impressive milestones. You should be proud of yourself, and you've given yourself a great start to your career and to your financial life. So congratulations, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. And thanks for all that you do, Dr. Dolly. We all appreciate it and very happy to learn from you.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. It's always good to talk to a fellow emergency physician and see what they're accomplishing. I love the fact that docs are passing around this information from one to another, right? Watch out for the bad apples in the financial services industry. Don't spend all your money. Realize, especially as an emergency doc, that your income's probably never going up beyond what you start with in your first couple of years out of residency. And just be smart about how you manage money. If we will give this information to each other, the entire profession will be better. Healthcare will be better. People will be able to concentrate more on their patients and be able to take better care of their families, partners, etc. I truly believe that a doc who has his or her or their financial life, their ducks in a row, is going to be a better partner, better parent, and a better practitioner. Our sponsor today is StudentLoanAdvice.com. Andrew Paulson is the lead student loan consultant and co-founder of StudentLoanAdvice.com. He has a master's degree in accounting and a certified student loan professional designation. From Andrew, you'll receive a customized student loan plan using the principles we teach right here on the podcast. This will save you hours of research, plenty of stress, and maybe even hundreds to thousands of dollars. He can get you answers to all of your student loan questions, clarity about your financial future, and start you down the right path towards financial independence. Book a consult with Andrew at studentloanadvice.com today. Keep your head up, shoulders back. You've got this, and we can help. We'll see you later this week on the White Coat Investor podcast and next week on the Milestones to Millionaire podcast. Thanks for what you do.
My dad, your host, Dr. Dolly, is a practicing emergency physician, blogger, author, and podcaster. He is not a licensed accountant, attorney, or financial advisor, so this podcast is for your entertainment and information only and should not be considered official, personalized financial advice.